Hello, I'm Micker410 and welcome to my channel where I focus on 3-inch revolvers and firearms chambered in the 410 bore shot shell. Let's check out today's video.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. In today's video, we're going to cover how much barrel length affects the 410 Brenneke Slug. We have both the 2.5 inch and the 3-inch loadings, and we're going to be covering them outside, or we're going to be covering them out of barrels everywhere from 2.5 inch, which is actually just 1/2 inch, up to 26 inches. And we're going to do that because out of our Henry and our Stoeger side-by-side and our Taurus Judge Magnum and 2 other videos, we got results that were a little bit lower than what was listed on the backs of these Brenneke boxes. And I was curious to see how much that is because of those platforms and how much it is because maybe the Brennekes have changed a little bit since they first started showing up in YouTube videos 6 or 7 years ago. From other people who were testing them. So the 2.5 inch says that it does 1,500 feet per second from the muzzle, and the 3-inch says that it does 1,755. And we're going to find out exactly what we get out of this plethora of 410 platforms here, which I'm going to show you now in just a moment. On this table here, we have the, in no particular order, the Taurus Judge Poly Protector with a 2-inch barrel, the Smith & Wesson Governor with a 2 3/4 inch barrel, the Kel-Tec KSG 410, which has a 18.5 inch barrel, the Rossi Survival Gun, which has a 16-inch barrel, and it is a 45 Colt 410 long arm, the Rossi Tuffy, which is an 18-inch barrel, the Chiappa Double Badger, which has a 20-inch barrel, no, a 19-inch barrel, sorry, my mistake, and is both 22 WMR and 410. Above that, we have a Rev 41 with a 20-inch barrel. That has like a million manufacturers. I'll cover that in another video. Then coming over here, we have our Rossi Brawler, which has a 9-inch barrel. Our Taurus Home Defender, which has a 13-inch barrel. We have our Bond Arms, which has a 2.5 inch barrel, or 3-inch barrel, which equates to a 1/2 inch barrel. Then at the top there, we have our Remington 183D with a 23-inch barrel. Right next to that is our Rev 410, which has a 24-inch barrel. Underneath that is the Silver Eagle XT3, which has a 22-inch barrel. And our Tuffy Turkey is at the very bottom there. It's our last one, and it has a 26-inch barrel. All right, guys, if you give me a second, I'll get this all set up for us to do our FPS testing. Because we have a whole lot of firearms to get through today, we're going to do 3 from each. It's probably going to take us a minute. I don't think it's really cold enough for me to need a glove, because that's just going to slow us down. Anyway, we're starting with the 2.5 inch out of the Bond Arms Rough Rider. All right. So it's only a 1/2 inch. We're at 15 yards. The Brenneke is 114 grains. And let's see if we pick this up. All right. Let's try that again. All right. 712 feet per second. That's not surprising. Only a 1/2 inch barrel. 787. Still better than I expected. I was thinking it would be closer to 600 feet per second. And the box says that we should be getting 1,500 feet per second from the muzzle. That's hilarious because, you know, half-inch barrel versus full-length shotgun barrel. We're getting about half. And 735 for an average with the Bond arms of 745.2. All right, we can put the Bond arms away because it only is chambered in 2.5. Recoil on that was very minimal. I have shot some 410 slugs out of the Bond arms that has significantly more bite than that. Okay, now we're moving on to the Judge Poly Protector. This has a 2-inch barrel, actual 2-inch barrel. 998, much better. 979.2 and 972.0. You know, there's a lot of things you can say about the Judge Poly Protector, but it is accurate. I never feel like it's not going to go where I aim it. All right, so our average there was 983.1. Again, not even close to the listed 1,500, but that's for full-size shotguns. We're shooting them out of self-defense pistols. All right. We can put the Judge Poly Protector away because it is also only chambered in 2.5 inch. All right, and now we have the Smith & Wesson Governor. It has a 2 3/4 inch, and we will see if we get anything better out of it. So, if any of you ever decide to get a Smith & Wesson Governor, I recommend you get it in black. This matte finish just mars up anytime it touches anything that's not a felt cloth or a microfiber cloth. Holy moly. Anyway, let's see what we get out of it. 997, almost identical. 997. 981. It didn't record one of those, but I'm okay with that. 981 and 997 are really close. So we're just going to go with 989.5 because the Smith & Wesson, because our Brenneke, we're so limited in them. So we can put away the Smith & Wesson Governor. It's also only chambered in 2.5 inch. And now we're going to move on to the Brawler, which has a 9-inch barrel, which is our next shortest. And this guy should really, I imagine, pick up quite a bit more velocity. But 989 wasn't half bad for just a 2-inch, 2 3/4 inch barrel. All right, let's see how we do with the Brawler. 1235.1. Oh yeah. Now we're talking. That's a nice bit of pickup. And closer to what I would expect. 1101. All right, that's a little bit of difference there. Not very consistent, which is disappointing. and 1162. All right, so we were sort of all over the place there. In the 1100 range, our average was 1166.2. So not that 1500, but still closer. All right, now we're going to go to the Taurus Judge, Home Defender. Now, these guys we're all keeping out because they are chambered in 3-inch as well. And in case I didn't say it earlier, we're at 15 yards. Nothing too far, nothing too close. Turn on my really terrible sight. My Amazon $30 red dot sight. $13.41. Okay, that's pretty good. $12.68. Still not too bad. And $12.93.7 for a 13.1, 1301.1 average. Kick very mild, as to be expected at this point, since everything else was so mild. Yeah, I like that. And honestly, that sight did pretty good. Okay, so now I have to get the Rossi Survival. All right, everything we've shot so far has been a 45 Colt 410 firearm, so they've all been rifled. It kind of registered it and it kind of didn't. I'm not liking that. Let's try again. 1310. All right, it doesn't look like we really picked up anything between 16 inches and 13 inches. And 1310. All right, it only registered one of the three. That's really disappointing. We may come back to that, depending upon how many Brenneke Slugs we have left at the end here. Oh, I still had the chisel insert for the 327s in this guy. That's a dandy little round. $12.95.9. I could not have made that shot if I called it ever. There we go. 1268.0. That's more of what I'm used to out of this guy. I really wish this Tuffy here was drilled and tapped for an optic. It would be so great for that. All right, and 1288.7 for an average of 1284.2. Now this is an 18.5-inch barrel, and this is more in line with what we got out of the Henry. So I'm not terribly surprised about that, but I am disappointed. I would have wanted 1,500 feet per second out of that. All right, so now we're on to the Kel-Tec. Okay, so I've got the Kel-Tec loaded. I don't use this guy often. I had it on the wrong tube. Let's try that again. 1265. 1270. Oh. Oh, yeah, the reason that happened I accidentally ejected one of the shells. Again, I don't use this guy often at all. There we go. And 1271.9. That right there is an excellent example of why you need to get used to using your firearms, practice with them quite a bit. That Kel-Tec is sort of a novelty for me, and I haven't really put it through its paces yet. 1269.1 is our average. Again, a little disappointed. None of this is coming close to that 1,500. All right, our next one is going to be the Chiappa Double Badger. All right, let's see. The Chiappa is a firearm that I really love. 1297.9, that's good. It's the first break action 410 shotgun that has a set of sights on it that I really like. 1227.5. Whew, that's a big drop. That's a little disappointing. And the Chiappa Double Badger has a 19-inch barrel, in case I didn't say that earlier. And boom, 1272.3. One of the things that's really great about it is both the 410 slugs and the 22 mags just really go where you put them, which is pretty impressive for it being a over-under with two different calibers. All right, so like I said, 1265.9 is our average. Very similar to the Kel-Tec. All right, so now we've got the Rev 41, which is a Turkish revolver shotgun. This is not a 45 Colt 410 shotgun like you see for most of your revolvers. It makes it different than even the Taurus or the Rossi Circuit Judge. So let's see how well this guy does. So far there hasn't been any real burn on my hands from any of these. Sights on here are super aftermarket, and this guy has a safety, which is a little unusual. Oh, nice. That was really nice. 1172. It's a little disappointing, but the action on this is really nice. And it's nice and accurate for these shitty little aftermarket sights. I'm not upset at all. 1236.8 is our average. First time we've gone down. I'm sorry, 1136.8. But I didn't buy this guy for slugs. I bought this guy for buckshot. So we'll test buckshot out of it in another video. But I'm very impressed with what we just saw there for ease of operation and smoothness. And accuracy. All right, let's see our next. Oh, the Silver Eagle. Oh man, the Silver Eagle. Okay. All right, so the Silver Eagle XT3 is a really beautiful Turkish semi-auto shotgun. I had wanted it to be amazing, and so far, in just my everyday use, it's been trash. Well, it got 1298.4, that's great. Does not appear to have cycled correctly, which is pretty common for it. Yep. That's pretty normal for the Silver Eagle XT3. 1333.0, okay. That's the highest that's the highest FPS we've gotten out of anything so far today. But as you can see, it's not actually ejecting any of the spent shells, so it's basically a single shot shotgun. Oh, it's accurate. Man, this gun is such a disappointment. And 1285.1. Let me guess. Yep. Every shotgun shell I've ever fed into this, it either fails to eject or it stovepipes. It's so disappointing. Maybe it'll be different with the 3-inch. Anyway, our average there is 13.05, which is great. Highest performance we've had so far. 22-inch barrel. But if you only get one shot and it jams on you every time, what a waste. What a piece of Turkish garbage. So disappointing. Now this Remington 183D, it has been, a very nice shotgun for the little bit that I've used it for. It's got an internal magazine. I'm not super familiar with internal magazines, so this is clunky too. All right, bolt action. Brass bead sight. Let's see how he does. Oh, nice. 1314.8. 13.1. And 1270.0. Bolt's a little stiff, but you know what? It fed great. It felt great. Recoil was nothing. What a fantastic little firearm that guy was. Average of 1299.5. What a lovely little field gun. Absolutely fantastic. All right, just 2 left for the 2.5-inch shells. Our next one is the Rev 410, and then the Tuffy Turkey. All right, so the Rev 410 is yet another of these Turkish smoothbore 410 revolver shotguns. All right, and it looks like we won't be using this guy at all because none of the shells will load into the actual cylinder. So the cylinder on this needs to be chamfered. I had this guy Cerakoted because the coating on it was so terrible. It was rusting from the day I got it. And it was such a beautiful shotgun. And I was so excited to try it that I had some guys Cerakote it. And it is looking like, yeah, it's looking like there is some Cerakote on the inside of these cylinders now. So I'm going to have to work on that and see if we can't get that cleaned out. What a disappointment. Okay, sorry about that, guys. We'll put this guy away, and we'll have to bring him out for a different video on another day. Which leads us to our Rossi turkey gun with another super cheap sight on here. Let's see if it's any bit of accurate. Let's see if it's accurate at all with the 410 shells, the Brenneke Slugs. I was trying to sight it in with 327 Federal Magnum. I don't think that was terrible. 26-inch barrel and still only getting 1291.4. $13.07. And our last shot, 1328. Well, that was our best shot, or our highest rated shot out of all of them. 1309 average. And that is that's significantly less than the advertised 1500. That's really disappointing. Brennekes are the only slugs that'll hold together. For 410, everything else falls apart when it penetrates any reasonable distance. So if you want to do anything with a slug that needs penetration, you need the Brennekes. And it's disappointing to see that the 2.5 inches shells are getting 200 less no matter the barrel length. All right, well, let's go grab the 3 inches and see if the same pattern holds there too. Okay, so we're starting with the Brawler. And these shells are supposed to get 1755 at the muzzle. Obviously, we won't get that from the Brawler since it's just a 9-inch barrel. But hopefully we'll get at least 1100, 1200 out of it. Because we got 1200 from the 3-inch Brenneke Slugs out of the Taurus Judge with a 3-inch barrel. $13.59. Okay, that's not too bad. A little bit more kick. $14.20. Okay, also not too bad. So we're getting about 250 more feet per second out of this guy with the 3-inch slugs, which honestly is about what they say you would get on the cartridge or on the box. So 1383 there for an average of 1388.1. Just a little bit less than 400 less than advertised. But again, that's only a 9-inch barrel. We wouldn't expect to get the full 1755 out of a 9-inch barrel. Let's see how the Home Defender does. If the Home Defender, if these Brennekes hold true, if the pattern holds true, then from this Home Defender on, we should be getting roughly the same FPS out of all of them. All right, again, let's try this little red dot. Nice. 1421.6. That's a nice little bit of 1414.7. That's sort of funny. And 1402.6. All right, so that was better. Our average is 1,413 feet per second. I mean, it's a pickup, but not nearly the amount of increase we saw between the 2.5 inchers. That's, again, kind of disappointing. I wonder if 1,400 feet is going to be about what we get out of all of these. All right, next is the Rossi Survival Rifle. Ah. $15.31. All right. $15.31, and it went where I aimed. I like that. $15.33. This guy's a little bit hard to aim because I'm trying to keep it on the table close to the chronograph. And $15.09 for an average of 1524.6. So we got a little bit more pickup there out of that 16-inch barrel. I'm not upset about that. Next is our Rossi Tuffy with the 18.5-inch barrel. That's this guy over here. Now this guy was my first 410 shotgun. And I do love them to death. Very handy. But I really wish he had something more in the speed. Ah, 1509.2. And I didn't change the chronograph. All right, so the Rossi Tuffy will have to include an extra 1509.2 in there. Oh yeah, 1464.4. And the little guy deserves it because he's been decently accurate with just this brass bead. And 1460.9. So his average is 1462.7, but I know that I'll have to add in that 1509. All right, to get that real average. I'm impressed. He did better than I thought he would. Good job, little buddy. All right, next on our list is the Kel-Tec. If I had been smart, I would have loaded the opposite tube. This guy's got 2 tubes. I could have put the 3 inches in one side and the 2.5 inches in the other side. Had them all ready to go. All right, well, anyway. Oh, almost forgot the chronograph on this guy. Okay. 1448.9. Man. 1464.8. And 1440.8. And all those hiccups are on my operation of the firearm, not on the actual firearm itself. I was selecting the tubes incorrectly, all that kind of stuff. It's got a complex manual of arms, but it's an awesome shotgun worth learning that complex manual of arms for. All right, so our average is 1451.5. Not terrible, not great. So far, none of these are coming even close to that 1755, which is really disappointing. Next is the Chiappa Double Badger. This guy, on the other hand, has an excellent and simple manual of arms. $1458.2. Always puts them where I want them. 1480.3 would make an excellent field gun. And 1453.2. All right, his average is 1463.9. And, you know, guys, the kick on all of this has been incredibly mild. Let's see. The Rev 41. The Turkish revolving smoothbore shotgun that worked. Let's see how this guy does with the Brennekes. He had about 100 feet per second less than the other revolvers with a similar size barrel, which is most likely because of the cylinder gap of the revolver portion. but he was good. He did exactly what I wanted him to do. You know, out of all the 410 Turkish shotguns, so far this has been the most reliable. Oh, and that safety. 1235.6. 1291.5. And 1286.1 for an average of 1271.2. I mean, that really is very disappointing FPS performance out of this guy. But you don't buy a shotgun like this for 410 slugs. You buy a shotgun like this for very simple manual of arms and reliability home defense. That shotgun is really for buckshot. All right, speaking of reliability, time to see if the Brennekes do any better out of this Silver Eagle XT3 with the 22-inch barrel piece of crap. Oh my God. I've had this thing for like 4 years now, and it just never cycles properly. So, and I have like 5 different magazines. It's not the magazine, you know, all sorts of fun crap. All right, let's see. Did it cycle proper? No, it didn't. Oh, and it didn't register that shot either. 1475.5. I think it cycled properly. It ejected, but it didn't load. Oh. And 1473.8. That's all the time we're going to waste on this guy. His average is 1476.4. So far, the highest average. It would be great if he just fed reliably. What a fantastic little shotgun he would have been. All right, so now, let's see. Oh, now we're doing the Remington. Remington 183D. So I got this guy super used, really great price. No manual. It's the only internal magazine firearm I have. Only bolt action I have. But I really do like them. And I really do like that with 410 I get to experience all the actions. They make 410s for everything. Nice. 15-15. All right, I like that. 15-15. 1535.4. Average of 1521.9. Ah, what a beautiful little shotgun. Accurate even with just the tiniest little brass bead. Everything was smooth. Everything was great on that guy. All right, let's load up that Tuffy turkey and finish up this video. Didn't pick that one up. That's a little bit of a disappointment. Let's try that again. 1524. That's nice. And 1512. Also nice. All right, well, we're going to call it there. Our average is 1518 with the Tuffy Turkey. Yeah, 1518.0. All right, it looks like on average the 3-inch Brennekes are doing 200 feet per second more than the 2.5-inch. So if you are going to hunt anything that needs as much oomph and penetration as possible to do it ethically with a 410, I would recommend the Brennekes. It's just a little disappointing that they're not getting the listed velocity. And as you can tell, we just checked every single barrel length that's really reasonable out there for a 410 across the whole variety of manufacturers, and that's just been consistent findings all the way through. All right, folks, I had a super ton of fun making this video. The Brennekes were way more accurate than I thought they'd be out of some of these guys. Yeah, it was a blast. I hope you guys all had a good time, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.